This video is sponsored by Amazon Coins. Amazon Coins is a digital currency that you can use for in-game purchases on apps found in the Amazon Appstore, just like Epic 7. With Amazon Coins, you'll rack up huge discounts, up to 20% off. With Sylvan Sage Vivian finally being released after such a long time, you might consider topping off your Mystic medals the next time you shop with Amazon Coins. You can also try downloading and playing Epic 7 on Windows 11 through the Amazon App Store. However, this feature is currently only available in the US. Amazon Coins are currently available in the United States, the UK, Germany, France, Japan, Italy, Spain, and Australia. Use my link found in the description below to support me and the channel while getting these great discounts in your next in-game purchase. The link will also provide you with step-by-step instructions on getting the Amazon App Store and Epic 7 installed on your device. Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. This is my initial thoughts video for Summer Break Charlotte, the new summer hero for this year. I said it in a previous video. If you were watching my YouTube videos in chronology and you don't miss a video, I said the same thing here. It's like, why didn't Smilegate just place the preview video earlier instead of just allowing the data miners to get the data from the maintenance? I was even suspecting them that they would just hold it in terms of like they won't even release it and do like a little patch so that the data miners wouldn't kind of spoil it. Now, I don't care about the spoiling. Like, I wanted to know her like abilities when they shared Sharoon, but behold, thank you to the data miners for being able to pull this stuff out early so we can have an early discussion and people can plan earlier. So in comparison, in summary, she's way better than Sharoon. And then she's limited, so you have that aspect, but you know, right now I think she looks really promising. Of course, I'll discuss my full thoughts as we go through this stuff. So first things first is the stats and imprints. Not shown in these images is the fact that she is a Gemini Knight and she's an ice hero. This is limited to the sources that I got the images from, but it is confirmed she's a knight. Her artifact is for knight exclusive, but she is an ice knight. Alright, so Gemini being the same stat line as Green Charles and Mort. Green Charles is a bit more relevant since Green Charles is an attack scaling bruiser and she serves to be an attack scaling DPS as well. Alright, so just keep those things in mind. You look at the stats on the top there. Again, like I said, it's Green Charles outside of the crit rate, which is because you see there 37% is actually based off of her passive that she has, so that's added on. I put a little note plus another 10% if you max Mola, and if you're gonna build her, you were gonna max Mola that S2 anyway, so the passive. So it would be at 47% before you put on any gear, so that's pretty impressive. The attack at 957 is a low base. I mean, that was Charles's issue really, but Green Charles had like an ability to be able to stack more damage with the more buffs he has. So like all in all, like he made up in his kit for his low base attack. Now I think again, in summary, I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, but in summary, I think that Summer Break Charlotte also has that ability. So in my opinion, the low attack is only to keep her grounded in terms of like not so OP. But the OP aspect, in my opinion, would be the health, defense, and the speed combo for the type of damage dealer she's going to be serving as. So realistically, I mean, she has lower attack than Fire Charlotte, but bulk wise is like a bit better, and I think she's faster than Fire Charlotte if I'm not mistaken. So that's very strong just off the bat in my opinion. I did note above there as well, plus another 172 attack if you have her at triple S. That is tacked on, that is not multiplied by your gear stats. That's tacked on after all the gear, you know, your 65% attack ring and all those whatnots. The plus 172 flat pretty much at a triple S, so it's okay, it's pretty good. So that's the stats there. As you can see, the self imprint concentration of course is 18% attack, so lower value, which is I kind of appreciated too, right? Like if they put it as a crit rate self imprint limited hero, it feels a bit more baity in terms of like you're more tempted to pull triple S. But then she's, you know, her triple S attack, you know, you already see the stats there. 172 is not nothing, but it's not like the biggest deal. It's not like a Huayang, right? So Huayang at triple S, even though she's not a limited, triple S can, you know, give her another like 300 attack or something like that. So very, very big difference, of course. And then it's not crit rate. So at least you don't have to worry about like feeding your extra Fire Charlottes, or maybe you have an extra LQC, you know, and your LQC and your Fire Charlotte is all triple S. So you don't have to worry about that too much. But I mean, if you're gonna build it as a damage dealer, you know, obviously every imprint counts, right? The release being at 10% health and its AoE, it's very, very nice as well, because I definitely think that she can be used in almost anyone's playstyle. I think that she could be used in aggro, she could be used in standard, she could be used in cleave. Although I think right now, cleave comps are probably gonna have, cleave and aggro are probably gonna have more play with her, since she does rely on the allies' turns. So like them getting more turns or whatever, and usually aggro and cleave are some of the teams that generate the most turns before your opponent can go, right? So that's that benefit. So alright, let's still talk about the skill. So here's the first whammy. New mechanics, and new mechanics are always going to be kind of hit and miss, you know? There's going to be really good new mechanics, there's going to be something that's not as good. So for example, Sharoon's Venom, in my opinion, is much worse than what she brings to the table. But the passive is increases the critical hit chance by 10%. This is not max mola, of course. So plus another 10. So like I said at the stat line there, she'll have 47% crit rate before you put on any gear. At the end of every 4 allied turns, grants enhanced dual attack to the caster and gains 15 fighting spirit. Now do notice that she doesn't start with any fighting spirit. So that is something that you have to consider. Fighting spirit is it needs 100 to be full, okay? So just keep that in mind. At the start of the turn, when fighting spirit is full, consumes all fighting spirit, dispelling all debuffs from all debuffs, dispelling it, and then before increasing the attack for 2 turns and resetting all cooldowns. So I think that if I'm gonna assess like the passive itself, I don't believe that there's a case where you're gonna get all of your fighting spirit in a cleave comp. In an aggro comp, maybe, if you can't kill your opponents all in your initial turn. In a standard comp, I definitely think that you'll see that being used in terms of she'll gain fighting spirit, she'll be able to dispel the debuffs that may be placed on her, and then of course increasing her own attack, which is really, really nice, and then resetting the cooldown into a very, very strong single target nuke, which is her only cooldown skill at the moment. So all in all, pretty packed. But let's read what enhanced dual attack does. Alright, so when an ally except the caster uses a skill and the caster is available to use a dual attack, attacks the same target with a basic attack. Enhanced dual attack cannot be dispelled, but it is dispelled when the caster uses a dual attack. Alright, so all in all, that sounds pretty crazy. If you read this properly, and if I'm not mistaken of the reading, anyone who does a skill, so not even just an S1, right? So like imagine it could be but it has to be attack, okay? So it has to be attack on of course an attacking skill. So let's say for example somehow you did like Ran Arnold and you somehow had a Pavel or something, like the enhanced dual attack could happen on the AoE skill. Now as you know, especially within like a AI based comp, let's say Bellion S1. Bellion S1 would be AoE, but you still have to technically choose a target. Now if you're auto fighting, it would still technically choose either the elemental advantage, even though it's AoE, elemental advantage, or it will choose the lowest health, right? So that kind of AI stack, hopefully everyone understands that. So it's pretty cool that like a Pavel S2, so an AoE, can trigger this enhanced dual attack, again, based on this reading. So again, it's not saying that when the ally except the caster uses a basic skill, it says that it uses when they use a skill. And the caster is available to use a dual attack. That means the caster is not slept, is not stunned, is not incapacitated in any other way except the fact that she can do the S1. So she can be silenced, she can be provoked, all those would still work with the enhanced dual attack. The only thing I think that, obviously, as we know, unbuffable. If she has the unbuffable debuff before this triggers, then technically she shouldn't get it. Just like Vigor buff, just like any other undispellable buffs. If you have unbuffable on the turn that they get it, unless they cleansed before that turn, they're not gonna get it. So that's the only thing stopping this, but that's not highly likely, unless like someone's like, you know, running a Payra into you and you get outsped. But in that case, like, if you're cleaving a Payra, then you have lost pretty much. Usually there's no win condition when you're cleaving and someone outsped you with their Payra as a counter draft. Yeah, just keep that stuff in mind. And then yeah, so it can be dispelled, all right, but dispelled when they use it. So it does trigger only every 4 ally turns, and ideally to maximize her enhanced dual attack, obviously you want her to get a turn after 4 ally turns and no more, right? Because like in a fight, every single bit of your enhanced dual attack starts becoming more and more effective. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. It almost acts like an SSB, but an offensive type of SSB. So SSB is like, you get attacked or your team gets attacked and she gains focus and then she'll AoE. Enhanced dual attack is like, again, like I said, because it's not just based on your allies like S1, not just the basic attack. So realistically, anytime your ally goes like with the 4th turn, realistically she should be already triggering her basic attack. But in her case, her basic attack gets really spicy, but we'll get to that. So hopefully that makes sense. And sometimes it's really hard for me to articulate my thoughts, but hopefully that makes sense. So the only way that you're not releasing your enhanced dual attack on your allies after the ally's 4th turn is if your ally's 4th turn and 5th turn is a non-attack skill, right? So I do believe that because it says the caster uses a skill and the caster is available to do attack, attacks the same target with the basic attack, so it has to be targetable, alright? So it has to be a skill that hits. I do believe that's how the mechanic would work. The next one will be the S3. So we'll talk about the S3 first and then go back to the S1, because this is how they usually do the preview. Whale, hello there. I like the name of the S3. Anyways, attacks the enemy with a pod of killer whales. I'm sorry. I just think it's really funny because if cleavers are gonna really utilize her, they're gonna try to triple S her, and being a cleaver generally, unless you're super lucky, generally means you have to be a whale, okay? Unless you're super lucky because it's a huge gear thing. But anyways, attacks the enemy with a pod of killer whales and then stunning for 1 turn. This is a single target attack. Before increasing speed of all allies for 2 turns. Damage dealt increases proportional to the target's lost health. I have the data mine here as well. The raw damage for the Mola there is, as you can see, is plus 30. So it's a pretty standard one. You're not going to see insane amount of increase based on the Mola, which I'm okay with. It's a 6-turn cooldown with a -1 at the plus 3. So really a 5-turn cooldown, quite long. But with how she kind of works with the fighting spirit, I don't think you're going to usually hit that 5 turns. That's my thinking process, because realistically she's going to be dual attacking quite a bit, and maybe Unity Set is a play on her, by the way. I think Unity Set can have high value for her, so I'm going to look at my Unity gear and see if I have any DPS Unity Sets. But regardless, if you take a look at the skill mods, S3 is at 1.8. When I saw 1.8, I was like, holy crap, that can't be AoE. It's definitely a single target skill, already confirmed. 1.8 is a very high damage mod, but it doesn't defense pen. I'm not quite sure if pen set is worthy on her, really, unless you're thinking about using her in a more... I just don't think it actually holds that much value. It's almost kind of like Lionheart Surmia on pen set. Realistically, you're banking on the AoE. because you got the higher defense pen, you got more damage overall. But I have seen people with Lionheart Sermius is like they min-max all of her skills where that S1 still can hit hard, especially with the soul burn, and pen set can make a difference. I don't know in her case like if that's worth it, but I can see people trying to run it at a 1.8 times mod. It's not bad to have for a pen set. You could run into the damage calculator, especially with her additional damage adjustment. You can see there is a 0.35% increased damage per 1% target health missing. So realistically speaking, if they're 100% health missing, just to do the math easier, she gets an increase of 35%, right? Damage. So it sounds pretty good, but of course if they're 100% health missing, they'll be dead. So you can do the math somewhat in between, right? Like if it's a 50% health, you get half of a 35%. So not a terrible thing. That's 17.5% more damage dealt, or however amount of health they have lost. So the S3 proves to be a very strong single target skill that can disable because of the stun. No D-spell beforehand, but I don't think that's a huge deal. But the speed buff is huge. It's AoE. So that's a very nice skill in general. And then we got the S1. So let me pull that up there. The S1, as you can see on the bottom, the damage mod again is a 0.9 with a 1 times POW. 0.9 makes sense because this is AoE. Now, when I talked about Sylvan Sage Vivian, her Soul Burn S1, which is AoE, her S3 is AoE, they're all 1 times mod, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good, right? Usually 0.9. 0.9 here is shown. So her damage scaling is just going to be a bit hard to achieve unless you're not chasing bulk stats and you're just chasing pure damage, all right? With the right gear, she can work in a cleave comp as a pure damage dealer. If you are using her as a standard draft type of build, like a more of a bruiser, she can fit that well. You have to see her this way. Like, she's a very decent support damage dealer. If she's not in a cleave deck or aggro deck, she's a really strong support damage dealer, okay? And her artifact might be her best in slot if you're gonna play with the standard, because you got the speed buff, you got a stun, so to disable, you got a high damage nuke, and then you also have defense break, right? So defense break on the S1 and potentially AoE if you trigger the right conditions. So caught a big one, acquires 20 fighting spirit. So outside of the S2 passive, getting the 15 fighting spirit per 4 ally turns, you only have the S1 to generate the fighting spirit, right? So it's again, it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm just trying to find my frames here. But 20 fighting spirit and 1 soul gained. Soul burn will attack all enemies, so regardless it will just attack all enemies, so kind of like Sylvan Sage Vivian here, but attack does not trigger a dual attack or a counter attack, which is nice. Okay, so it does not trigger a counter attack at all. That's very nice. The effect chance at the +3 is going to be a +10, so your defense break on top there is going to be 60%. Attacks the enemy with 2 meaty fish and has up to a 60% chance to decrease defense for 1 turn. When activated as a dual attack, this attack changes into an attack that targets all enemies. Alright, so AoE. So you get an AoE defense break if the right conditions are triggered, and the changed attack does not trigger a counter attack, so super cool. Very strong, and then also increases the combat readiness of the caster by 20%. So you can see this being used in a cleave for sure, right? Because she self CR boost with her passive, so 4 ally turns go, she gets enhanced dual attack, and then any other skills that an ally does that damages someone, she will do enhanced dual attack, and so her S1, because if it's on a dual attack, it changes to AoE defense break, AoE damage, and you get a CR boost. So like you have a defense break set up before her even actual turn if you're thinking about a cleave comp. Because like in a cleave comp, like you have like double turn heroes. Like if you have a, let's say just Ran, Politis, Flan, Pavel, C-Dom, all of these heroes have some sort of double turn. If you have Peyra on RNL, if you have Ranon RNL, C Lilius has an extra turn. So I mean, I think it's a no-brainer that a lot of cleavers are just like, you know, salivating at this kit here. And maybe people who don't like being cleaved are just like, oh no man, this is bad, this is gonna be the end of Epic 7, you know, the typical comments. But I definitely think that if you are not able to cleave with her, one, she looks like a really fun hero. I definitely think that with all the recent heroes that have been released, it's all been like like kind of like whatever. I could definitely think that she can be picked quite early without being punished too hard if you start thinking about all the stuff that could be drafted around her. But again, I think it has to be like, if you think about World Arena, it has to be like in a way of like, you know, of course it's surrounded by her build, right? Like, so is she a speed set DPS? Is she a bruiser? Obviously, you want to kind of draft her like kind of well there. But there's the dual attack ability, the enhanced dual attack ability that she has, this enhanced S1 that she has. These are all like really fun stuff. I would say like the more boring one is her S3, but even her S3 in my opinion is packed with multiple mechanics, being high damage mod, increased damage as HP is lowered, speed buffer, and then she can stun. I'm like, S3 is not even that bad. When her full fighting spirit is 100%, or sorry, she gets full fighting spirit, she dispels at self attack buff, so you know you can't forget that. And then what else? Yeah, to dispel everything, self attack buff, and yeah. So overall, in my opinion, I think she lives up to the hype of a summer hero. I definitely don't see as many flaws as I did when I rated someone like Jacko, which when Jacko came out, I was like, it's like I don't know about this one. This one, I'm pretty sure she's gonna be very strong, and like I said, can be tuned to multiple type of playstyles and still benefit. There's so many heroes right now that can either fully utilize the dual attack ability, or like I said, you could put her on a Unity set, in my opinion, because you're getting free crit rate from the passive. If your gear is cracked, then you know Unity set should not have any like negative effect whatsoever, and it only enhances your ability to use her. I would probably recommend the Unity set for a more of a standard playstyle though. Just keep in mind that she does eventually, she can cleanse herself, right? She can self cleanse and self buff. I would say the Unity set would be like less of a cleave, maybe less of an aggro comp, but in a more bruisery fight. I'm not quite sure if a lifesteal set would be that beneficial, nor a counter. So in terms of a bruiser, like 4-piece set, what should she be on? I'm not quite sure. Maybe revenge set could be a play. I don't know about injury set. I think she probably requires way more extra benefits from her set than injury, in my opinion. But those are just my thoughts. Otherwise, I think default, even if you build her as a bruiser, kind of like think Alandi, you could build her on a speed set. I think you would be fine. If speed set is your highest gear score, I don't think you need to chase stuff like lifesteal and all that stuff, but lifesteal could be nice. Okay, lifesteal could still be nice though, being that the S3 is high damage and then S1 is potentially AoE. The artifact here, mature sunglasses, very cute image. All right, they really did Charlotte well here in this version. Again, contrast to the fire version, does not look anything like this, but this Charlotte looks pretty good. Increase the critical hit damage by 30%. When attack decreases damage suffered by 14%. When more than one damage reduction effect is applied, only the strongest. Granted, only the strongest effect is applied. So, realistically, what you're seeing here is this is not exactly Draco Plate. It's slightly better than Draco Plate because it is 14% damage reduction, not critical hit damage reduction. So Draco Plate is 16% at a plus 30. This is 14%. But do keep in mind that this is plus 30 artifact, and both the critical hit damage and the mitigation are going to be lower if you don't have a max limit broken one. So like Draco Plate, but Draco Plate is 16% critical hit damage reduction. This is any damage reduction. So you have a miniature Proof of Valor here with the 30% more crit damage. Now I think in a, like I said, in a standard build, so if you're building here for standard play, I think this might be her best in slot artifact. Keep in mind that the HP on this is 988, the flat, assuming you have a max limit broken. So that gives it a very strong flat HP base that she might benefit from. The 14% damage reduction on top of extra damage gained could lend well into some kind of lifesteal build. Like I said, if you really do run lifesteal. I think for a cleaver though, if you're gonna use it for that kind of fight, I don't think that this artifact is best in slot. I think that something like a portrait would still be better, although the way that she might be played is that she's kind of cleanup. So maybe we need some other type of artifact, maybe like a symbol of unity, or any type of damage, because if I'm not mistaken, 30% critical hit damage from these artifacts is not as strong as something like a portrait. But if you can't merit a portrait, or if the HP thresholds are not right in your type of setup, then I think, you know what, this could be still really good. Outside of herself using this, and maybe Fire Charlotte using this, I don't know if there is any other knight that can use this right now to like a very strong like degree. If you guys know in the comments down below what kind of knight can utilize this, let me know. I think that the Fire Charlotte could use this if you're not on Symbol of Unity or Holy Sack, because Fire Charlotte, in my opinion, even with a self-defense buff, the only reason why she gets like knocked out too quick is because like the aggression is so high that you ideally want some damage mitigation, but then you increase the damage here. So I think like on a Fire Charlotte, this would be a potential contester for best in slot. That's my thought on it. But outside of that, I think it's usable right off the bat for Summer Break Charlotte. So that makes this artifact very valuable in my opinion. And then on top of the fact that maybe they're gonna bring back Night meta. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. Either way, I'm super excited about this hero. I think I haven't really sounded excited about any hero kit in a very long time. I think the last one when I was getting close to excitement was maybe Arya. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and don't forget that, again, like I said at the beginning, Full Metal Alchemist collab is data mined. Now whether or not, because we're leaking this info early, is Smug gonna get in trouble for it, is the collab gonna flop, I don't know, but save your bookmarks. If you're not gonna go fully ham on this, save your bookmarks for the collab. Outside of that, I think worthy pull hero, especially she's a limited. Skip anything possible right now just to pull her next week. Anyways, I'm gonna end this for the video recording. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.